Hello, welcome to the NSA Georgia website. I'm your host, President-elect Diane Bogino. Our guest today is Ed Rigsbee, CSP. Ed helps nonprofits to recruit and retain members for profit organizations to grow through alliance, and all the while, in addition to lecturing around the globe on strategic alliance development, he is executive director of a nonprofit public charity. He has authored 3 business books, over 2,000 articles, and has been an adjunct professor at 2 universities. In addition, Ed is a member of the National Speakers Association and the American Society for Association Executives, and he's been married to his wife, Regina, since 1974. Ed, how long have you been writing about strategic alliance development?
I've been writing about strategic alliance development since the early 1990s. My first book was published in 1994, The Art of Partnering. Since then, I've had 2 more books published and somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple thousand articles. I've been fortunate to travel around the world doing 2-day workshops in Southeast Asia and the Middle East. So it's been a while that I've been chit-chatting about that topic.
And what would be the #1 rule for alliance development?
I think it's very, very important to be really clear on what you want to achieve. If you create an alliance and you don't have a purpose laid out, then you're going to meander. It's kind of like, driving without a road map. You're gonna get somewhere, but who knows where you're going to get. And there's a lot of challenges in that. The other thing that becomes a problem sometimes is usually when companies come together, you don't want 2 companies that are so similar. You want companies that have got core competencies that overlap, but that have different cultures and the strengths of each of the 2 cultures. The challenge becomes when one company that's stronger tries to homogenize the other company in its own image rather than valuing the culture. The reason that you got with that company in alliance is because what they're bringing to the table. Just like, when we get married, 20 years later we want to change our spouse. Wait a minute. Let's remember the reason we got together. And so it's a very similar type of thing. Now, I'm sure you never wanted to change your spouse, but I'm sure your friend did. There's a lot of things. There's so much richness to what can be achieved. I mean, Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, in his Success volumes, it was published in 1937. It's about 12 volumes. He talked about, that which can be done by one person is meager compared to what a person can do in alliance with others. Pick your partners well. If you don't, you're guaranteed to fail. Decide what it is you want. Make sure you're clear on the structure, because alliance relationships have a lot of different iterations, from a handshake alliance to a strategic alliance to a joint venture to licensing programs. Make sure, if you get in any kind of a relationship, you've got to put it to paper. Don't get into an alliance without some kind of an agreement, because 2 years down the road, everybody's going to forget what they promised to, and what they remembered they promised to is going to be nothing close to what they actually promised to. So, it's got to be down on paper, and then, having intelligence governance systems where the various stakeholders in the alliance can participate. Eli Lilly, that little pharmaceutical company in Indianapolis, they have an amazing system they call the Lilly Web, or the voice of the alliance, and they use a 360 mechanism for their alliance people and their alliance partners people to voice how well they're doing. They measure in 14 areas: strategic fit, organizational fit, and cultural fit. So just give you a little bit what Lilly does.
Good.
Yeah, they're pretty successful. Yeah, go ahead and rip them off. Why not?
I was going to say, we'll steal these secrets. We're not proud.
And they're a great company, too. Lilly's, one thing really cool about them, they're very generous with sharing what they've learned with the marketplace. So you can go to a Lilly website, and you can get a lot of information about their alliances, their success, what they do, how they do it. Yeah.
And can you give our viewers like a universal tip for alliance development?
Probably not.
Okay,
no.
Good. Cut.
Here's the thing. In developing an alliance, it's don't look for an organization in your image. The richness of diverse and desperate organizations that have very different cultures, and while it may be a little bit of a challenge to manage and put together the governance of the alliance, what can come out of it, the richness, is much greater, much more synergistic than two companies that are breathing each other's exhaust. And so that becomes a huge problem, and that's probably one of the larger company partners with a smaller company. That's one of the biggest issues that arises.
Now, Ed, I know you do a lot of work with associations, so
yes, I do.
Can you tell our viewers what's going on with associations and societies today?
Sure. Well, you know, it's right now I'm studying for the Certified Association Executive Exam, which is May 4th. And I've got piles of books like that. And it's fascinating reading what ASAE, American Society of Association Executives, states as the best practice, and what I see out there in the marketplace working with associations, and what ASAE states would be wonderful if they're doing it, and some do, but the associations generally are scared to death. The model that the baby boomers and their parents had is dead. Associations were once the repository of all industry knowledge. Today, the internet's changed that to where knowledge can be got from other places. So associations have to learn to be very, very good at knowledge management in ways of pulling all the information together in such ways that people can't get without belonging or would take them so long. Also, associations are starting to figure out that they have to become communities of reciprocity, you know, and there's a lot of sacred cows that associations aren't quite ready to let go of. A typical example is the golf tournament that's losing money and has lost money for 10 years. But some associations are really taking a good hard look, and the challenge is when you squander resources for a few members in these sacred cows, then you don't have those resources for the preponderance of members, and especially the millennials or the Y-gen that's coming through. The millennials meaning that anybody who was born from 1982 to current. And so those are challenges. The associations are finding that in advocating for their members, we're moving to a place where they have to create networks, and the associations now are having to understand their members' customers. Not just their members, but their members' customers. What's going on in the lives of their members' customers? If they understand that, they can help the members to be more successful. So, you know, also associations are dealing with governance. The associations are finding that they have to be much more inclusive, and the boards of directors cannot be a good old boys club or even perceived to be a good old boys club, and they have to look at ways to bring the various stakeholders. And then when these various stakeholders come in, you know, from diverse groups or you know, whether you want to say diversity or diverse groups, then these people that come into the governance, they've got a whole new challenge, because the new people coming in, they can't be of the group they serve. They have to be from, meaning that now that they're on, say, a national board, they have to be concerned about the national association's best interest, just not their state or their constituency group or their diversity group, which is kind of like an American, you know, Congress, you know, taking home the bacon state to state, which apparently isn't working so well these days. But similarly, these are a lot of the challenges, and some associations are really stepping it up and upping their game and doing these things in amazing ways. Some associations aren't. Some of the associations that are doing poorly have had to merge, maybe have gone out of business. So the thing that I've been helping a lot of associations with the last several years is helping them to prove the return on the investment that they deliver on member-only benefits. Now, trade associations and professional societies do a lot of advocacy and legislative work, which is not a member-only benefit, it's a stakeholder benefit, meaning every stakeholder in the industry is getting benefit from that organization's work, whether they hold membership or not. So they're called leeches or remoras. And so what the associations have to do is look at all of the member-only benefits, evaluate them, and I have a proprietary system, this is a commercial, that I do, but we take them through this process to where we identify what are the member-only benefits, we put dollars to them. Then most associations after that can basically say membership in our organization is a good business decision. For every dollar you invest in membership, you get 5, 10, 20, whatever back. I mean, the highest one I've ever done was the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Their members get $185 back for every dollar invested. Now, they've got amazing sponsorships from Walmart and other places, so, you know, that's not your typical. And probably the least return on investment I've ever done with a group is like about 4 times. You know, but still, if you think about it, if you get $4 back for every dollar you invest, I mean, that's not bad. I was just here in Atlanta a week and a half ago, and I was working with a construction group. Doing the session with them, the general contractor group got about $20 back for every buck, and their vendors got about $40 back for every buck. So, I mean, you know, and this is just going through the member-only benefits. So you put the advocacy and legislative over here. Okay, you're doing great things, and no problem, but you can't sell membership. This is where most trade associations in America are just dying. They're trying to, you go to their websites, and the first thing they talk about is all their advocacy and legislative work, and then they're trying to recruit members, and they don't understand why members aren't joining, because the non-members are saying, why should I join? I get all the benefits. I get the milk. I don't need to buy the cow. And what I'm trying to teach these people to do is put that on the back. It's good member retention because your members understand it and they appreciate it. I was just up in North Carolina working with the dental group. Which one would that be? You know, their members in their survey, 68% said the advocacy work's what's important to them. And when we did some valuations, the one item that was valuated the highest at $4,000 a year was the legislative update. And the association people go, why is that? And I said, well, because look at advocacy is important to them, and the legislative update is stuff that the non-members don't get. So that is important. So the trade associations today that are saying, because the younger people are saying, you know, excuse me, you know, my daddy belonged, and you had all the information in the industry, but that ain't the way no more. I can get anything I want on the internet. So if you can't show me it's worth my time, because I got to go to my kid's soccer game, if you can't show me it's worth my time to come and play in your sandbox, that there's a good return on the investment other than we get good networking, you know, then I ain't going to come and play in your sandbox. But the associations that can prove it's a good business decision, for every dollar you invest, you get 10, 20 back, then the younger people go, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'll come and play with you.
And where do you think that associations and societies have fallen asleep at the wheel?
Right there. Right there. The 2 areas. Because the baby boomers are the pig and the python through our economy, the trade associations have been lured into the opiate of comfort on the baby boomers' belonging. See, there's 2 types of members. There are the givers and there are the takers. The baby boomers tend to be the givers. They come to the meeting, they participate, they'll go to the convention, even if it stinks, they don't care. And it's wonderful to have those members, but they're dying off or retiring. And the younger ones are the takers. They're saying, like I said earlier, you got to prove to me it's worth my time to come and play in your sandbox. So they've been lured by the opiate of these numbers, but they weren't prepared for so many baby boomers to start disappearing. And what they haven't learned how to do is serve the X-Gen, the people that right now are in their 30s, early 40s. I mean, they're fighting hard in these associations to get some voice. And a lot of the groups are creating YPO groups, Young Presidents Organizations, which is very, very good. However, a lot of the associations haven't figured out a clue on how to deal with the millennials or the Y-Gens, the ones that were born 82 to current. And so they were asleep at the wheel. And so what happens is the people that are in governance, the board, their assumptions are now bankrupt. They're erroneous, they're false, and they build their governance and their quasi-strategic plan around faulty assumptions on what people in the industry want, because they only see the world through their eyes. And the challenge becomes getting people, I'm a baby boomer, getting people my age to loosen up, see other possibilities, and realize that while I may be in control now, those younger people are going to be in control pretty soon.
Ed, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate your good advice.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Thank you. We've been talking with Ed Rigsbee, CSP, author and speaker. Thank you for visiting the NSA Georgia website. Stay tuned because we'll be bringing you more outstanding speakers like Ed Rigsbee.